Rod, if you're free, I have an extra ticket to the Warriors and Oil Kings game in Moose Jaw tonight, if you want to join me. I would love to, but I can't. To quote Sammy Seafood Sam, I'm busy.
How about that?
Where is Seafood Sam? Moved to Calgary. He's busy.
Yeah.
But thank you, Glenn.
Muna.
Big shots.
Sitting they're up there with the Russian national coach at the press conference.
Guy ran a seafood restaurant in Saskatoon, okay? His name was Seafood Sam. That was the name of the restaurant, and the Saskatoon Blades would bring him down to coach the All-Star or the intra-squad game, and he'd start brawls. And
I remember hearing the story about Daryl Lubanicki. They told the guys no more fights, and so all of a sudden there's a fight, and then they drop the puck, and then there's another fight, and there's another.
He's coaching the intra-squad
One
game.
kid had fought 3 times, so Daryl Lubanicki said, "I'm going to put an end to this." And he walks around the rink, and he comes over to the kid who's had 3 fights, and he says, "What is going on around here?" And the kid says, "That Chinese guy keeps sending me out to beat out of that." So he had to go to this Seafood Sam, who was this little 5'2" Chinese fellow who owned their local restaurant.
Seafood Sam's.
And tell him to knock it off.
No more fights.
How about that? Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
I was born to broadcast. So the World Juniors, 2012, I'm calling the national radio feed. I'm sitting there in the press box of the Saddle Dome like this, playing Pac-Man on my phone. Ray Ferraro, he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "What are you doing?" "I'm playing Pac-Man on my phone." "I just died." And he goes, "Don't you have game prep to get ready for the game or something?" "No, I know the numbers. I know everything about them. Let's get the game going."
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to July. Welcome to the post-Canada Day celebrations here on the RP Show. We are broadcasting live on the Game Plus television network. I went in and looked at the text messages on the text line. The number's on the screen, 902-518-33. And like last Friday seems like a month ago. Let's please bring in the Moose. Listen, we were just preparing for round 1 of the NHL draft on Friday's show, Darren, and getting ready for week 4 in the CFL. All of a sudden, everybody's switched teams, and guys are hurt, and there's controversies in soccer, and it's a brand new week. How you doing, fella?
Yeah, happy belated Canada Day to you and everybody watching, and I'm doing great. It was a good weekend. Plenty of actions, great sports weekend. So, it's good to be here on a Tuesday.
Coming up on the program today, vaunted Ottawa broadcaster A.J. Jakubec. He's the voice of almost every Ottawa sports team. But today he'll be talking about the CFL's REDBLACKS. And Kevin Karius joins us from 1440 Sports Radio Edmonton. He is my oldest friend in this perilous trade. I met him on the very first day of broadcast school when I was 17 years young. And we're still kicking it. And he'll be with us in hour 2 from Sports Radio 1440 Edmonton. And those are the guests. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan? And we'll go from there. The gang's all back together. Jordan's in, Clark's here, you and I are here. So let's go. We've got in our quick 6 show topics today. We've got NHL, Major League Baseball, Trevor Harris, CFL Week 4, soccer controversy, and random. So it is Canada's daytime sports talk show. We welcome in our American friends who just happen to like to eavesdrop on what we're talking about up here on the Great White North on Game Plus TV and WQEE Radio in Atlanta. And, of course, the streaming. So the big story, I don't know about you, but with the girls that I go with, everybody's still talking, Moose, about the NHL and the Nashville Predators being the biggest spenders on the opening day of NHL free agency Monday. More than $1 billion U.S. in contracts doled out. Nashville signed former Tampa Bay Lightning captain Steven Stamkos, winger Jonathan Marchessault, and defenseman Brady Shea, while locking up goalie Juuse Saros for another 8 years. In major signings for Canadian teams, Vancouver inked forward Jake DeBrusk. Toronto added defensemen Chris Tanev and Oliver Ekman-Larsson. So again, for the first time ever, over $1 billion was handed out. And so we got a lot to unpack here. I'm going to give everybody the roadmap. We're going to talk about a lot of this here in the opening segment, a little baseball. And then in the second segment, we'll do a lot of CFL because we are in the teeth of summer here right now. But listen, where I come from, the Panthers are just wiping the champagne out of their eyes from Sunday's Stanley Cup parade. And all of a sudden, a lot of their players are gone. Steven Stamkos is gone. And there's no time to rest, I think, is the point for the teams, the fans, the players. Darren, it's just a freight train, man. Are you on or off?
Well, I'm still on it. It is. Usually we have a little time to celebrate that Stanley Cup win before you get back to the last bit of business before the summer holiday. You know, that is the National Hockey League in most of July and August and into the early part of September. But with the Cup being so late, you know, it's just the freight train just keeps rolling. And I'm still on it, but be ready for a break here after maybe a week.
Yeah, whenever that is. But I'll say this. I was at the lake visiting with family, and they, answered all of their sports questions and told them what's going on in my life. And then I had a breakfast on Sunday morning with some 12-step buddies, and one of the guy beside me, let's not name him, but this was Sunday, so he was like, what were the things that really stood out to you from the NHL draft? And I was like, oh, bro, yeah, that's not on my radar. The draft is not on my radar. The upcoming free agency was a little bit of round one, but the rest of the picks really weren't because we were just getting ready for free agency. We'd heard that the Lightning in Tampa and Steven Stamkos, if the relationship was ruptured, said Elliot Friedman. Well, I really think it was going back to September, when Stamkos wouldn't address his contract and basically said back in September that the team was not going to talk about the year that he had left on his deal or even talk about extending it until the season was over. Do you remember that little tempest in a teapot at the time? And then April 29th, the night that the Panthers eliminated Tampa Bay, I was in the room, Game 5 in Sunrise, when John Cooper said, Steven Stamkos belongs here. And he goes, I don't envision this being a long conversation. Well, he was right about that. It wasn't a long conversation. It was, here's $3 million a year, Stephen. How do you like that? And he goes, I don't. And he's, within a day or two signed with the Nashville Predators, and he got his $8 million a year. So forget about Tampa Bay. Serena and I will be doing a Cats and Bolts podcast episode on the Stamkos legacy. We can dabble in it here. But I want to talk about Nashville, and that is the poll question today, by the way, that we all put our heads together with on our crew. Who's winning NHL free agency? Because remember, it's not over yet. We're through the first wave for sure, but our choices are Nashville, Toronto, New Jersey, or other. And there's a lot of people writing into our poll saying, what about the Oilers? You not having the Oilers on this poll as your top three choice is a choice. And we're like, well, didn't really enter our mind. We're not deliberately, like it's Nashville, so it doesn't matter, Darren. As you said, it's Nashville and then everybody else. And I'll just say this, and then I'll turn it over to you. I listened to the news conference, and we have to talk about Vegas, too, for sure. We got to talk about Krim and the Golden Knights. But I listened to the Barry Trotz news conference this morning on NHL radio, and he said, I think the quote's going around, he goes, I want serial winners. And let's examine that for a second. This is a guy that was a junior WHL champion with the Pats. He was the captain. He's won a Stanley Cup with Washington. So he knows what it takes to win. And now that I've been around, that I've been with winning teams and losing teams, if I was an owner or darn sure a GM, Darren, I would only do what Trotz is doing. And that is signing serial winners as players, as a coach. I wouldn't hire a first-time head coach. I'm sorry. I wouldn't. And I think that's probably a little hypocritical of me to say because somewhere somebody had to give me a shot, and I'm grateful for that. But I wouldn't hire a rookie noob. Nope. And if I was an owner and I owned a team, I would hire a GM that's won Stanley Cups. I'd hire a coach that's won Stanley Cups, and then they would sign players that's won Stanley Cups. So through all of this, what are we learning? John Cooper clearly had nothing to do with the negotiations between Steven Stamkos and Julian Breeze. right? Because Coop said he belongs here, and he's gone. And in Nashville, you want winners because, again, I said this on a podcast out of Ontario last night. I said, when you go, have you been to Mexico, Darren? I apologize because I don't know. Have you been to Mexico?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. So if you went on a trail ride, do you want a guide or do you want to just figure it out on your own? It was like me driving around Regina Beach on Sunday. I called my cousin Bonnie. I said, listen, do you want to just tell me where to go or give me your address or I can drive around all day and try and find it? It saves time to have a guide, somebody who knows what they're doing and has been there. That's what I get from what Barry Trotz is saying. Deal or no deal?
Yeah, deal. I really like what they're doing, obviously, and how can you not? That's not a shocking statement or it doesn't make me the smartest analyst in sports by saying that, but, it goes back to last summer and what they were able to do. Ryan O'Reilly leading that group of free agents, and then they were really good. Gave Vancouver a pretty good push when everybody counted Nashville out. They got infinitely better on July 1st, and they look even better going into the season, which is going to be a lot of fun. You got, a Norris Trophy caliber defenseman, you got a Vezina caliber goaltender, and now you have Stanley Cup champions up front. Nashville is a real player. So yeah, and Tampa Bay, some will argue, did they get better? And maybe they did. Maybe Jake Gensel, looks like he's going to be better moving forward. He's a great 5-on-5 player. He's fast, highly skilled. He does make players around him better. But you lost the heart and soul of your team. It's not measured on paper, but that's a big loss for Tampa.
I need to take a breath and just reflect on some of the conversations I had this weekend with people, friends, family, sports people. I was up at the pro basketball game in Saskatoon. I met the owner of the whole league. As you know, I talked to a lot of people this weekend, a lot of people I respect and trust. And in the case of JBB, as they call him in Tampa Bay, Julian Brisebois, he was as respectful as he could be. Because I listened to his news conference this morning as well with regards to not bringing back Steven Stamkos, but giving that kind of money to Victor Hedman and giving that kind of money to Jake Gensel. It was a major kick in the pills to Steven Stamkos. That's really all that it is. And you just said this. Saying goodbye to your heart and soul. It's in my commentary today. When you get rid of your heart and soul, you get rid of your heart and soul. There's a double entendre there. I related it to this. I hope he doesn't mind me saying, but Lanny McDonald left the Flames some years ago from his role in the office because he couldn't align with things there. And he went and worked in the oil patch for 12 years. And he loved it. Everything was great. But then things changed with the Flames, and he got a call, and they said, Lanny, we need you back. You're our soul. And Lanny's now back with the Calgary Flames. You see what I'm saying? When you get rid of your soul, you lose your soul. And I can sit and look at other teams. Like, it's pretty easy. Who's the soul of the Edmonton Oilers, Darren? Who is it?
Yeah, it's Connor McDavid.
Pretty easy, isn't it? Who's the soul of the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Yeah, it's Austin Matthews.
That's pretty good. That was pretty easy. And he's not your captain, but he's still your soul, which is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah,
Who's the soul of the Winnipeg Jets? Or for that matter, the Calgary Flames?
Doesn't quite jump out at you the same way. I would say
it's going to take you a minute.
Yeah.
It's going to take you a minute. Yeah. And for Florida, it's probably the captain, Alexander Barkov. That's what all the Panthers fans are telling me. And by the way, they have the Stanley Cup right now. So, listen, we're kind of running out of time on this segment. Kirk where is he? Saskatoon writes in. He's clearly an Oilers fan. He says, besides Nashville, the Oilers had a great first day re-signing players and adding free agents on great deals. They're even better and deeper than last season. Randy in Winnipeg says, good morning. The players won free agency. Nashville came in second. But I just want to talk about Kelly McCrimmon for a second. And it's taken me a little while to realize this because I'm of the old school mentality where I worked somewhere for 23 years, and that was the way we were brought up to do it. It ain't that way anymore. And when Chris Jones said, when he was in Saskatchewan and we were together with the Rough Riders. He goes, the days of staying in one place for a long time are over. And I didn't really understand it at the time, but now I get it. And all sports are the same. All sports are the same. And now that I've seen it from the inside with the Panthers and the Lightning, it's not personal. From the outside, the fans all say, where's the loyalty? I don't like the lack of loyalty. It's not about that. With these players, it's not like, I'm leaving because I don't like the coach and I don't like the GM and screw them. It's not that. It's they're hired guns. We'll come in on a short contract, do a job, make some memories, make great friendships, and then see you later. On to the next job and make more money if we can, or a better opportunity. That's what it is now. So that's kind of what Kelly McCrimmon was saying. I did not hear his news conference. I don't need to watch or hear what Kelly McCrimmon has to say. I've known him since I was 16 years old. And I was talking to a hockey guy last week who said, Krim is ruthless. It's what he is. If you don't mind, can you paraphrase what Kelly McCrimmon said in his news conference with regards to them losing Jonathan Marchessault, an original guy with Vegas?
Yeah, he talked about it afterwards, and he wanted to bring it up that, it's not easy losing these guys, and, that they're always going to be a part of the history of the Vegas Golden Knights because they won a Stanley Cup with this team, helped them win their first Stanley Cup. He said, it's not like we wanted them to take hometown discounts, but he's like, the fans think they know these players. He says, I know the players better than the fans do, So he tried to, at least not. He added a human element to it, which is something that we don't often see from guys like Kelly McCrimmon and him specifically. So he added a bit of a human element to it, but also said, it's a business and I'm responsible for making sure that there's the best team on the ice ready to compete. And they have a lot of good players in Vegas, and changes naturally happen. He really highlighted Tampa and Colorado, and he said, pick any Stanley Cup champion. Look at Florida now. You can't bring the whole team back. And the whole team isn't going to stick together for 3, 4, 5 years afterwards. So he kind of just explained that difficult decisions have to be made. And he hasn't been in the league a long time, but Kelly McCrimmon is pretty good at keeping the personal over here and the business over here. And it's a hard thing to do.
Yes and no. I mean, the best ones are at that. The teams that are running their franchises based on emotion, look where they are. I mean, it was brought up over the weekend. I guess I saw it on a podcast, how the Leafs or how the Flames still won't deal with Brad Treliving, not allowed to deal with Brad Treliving. Whoever's making that decision, as long as you think like that and deal on petty emotion, you're going to be right where you are, right? And other teams, again, in sports, I don't need to go down that road. But I just find it very interesting with Kelly because again, that hockey guy that I talked to last week that said Krim's ruthless. I'm like, yes, he is, and it's not a big city thing. Kelly's a farmer from Plenty, Saskatchewan. Population, maybe 100. It's not the end of the world, but you can see the end of the world from where Kelly McCrimmon's from. It's just the way that he is, right? He wants to win, do what's best for the team, and sorry if it hurts feelings. He's won 2 WHL championships. He's now won a Stanley Cup. So to be honest, I'll defer to what Kelly's doing. Julian Brisebois in Tampa, major putting his balls on the table here by saying, bye-bye, Steven Stamkos. We think your best years are behind you. Don't let the door hit you in the ass. He didn't say that, but that's the way it looks, and Stamkos is taking it that way. But I would say the sooner Stamkos can get over it, the better off that you'll be. That's the way sports is now. Interesting. Brent in Florida says fans in Florida are heartbroken that the Lamborghini is heading back to Calgary. Well, that's an interesting one, too. He took $2 million per season for 2 seasons to go to Calgary. He could have taken less money to stay in Florida. Some guys did. Sam Reinhart did. He got more. So the fans are heartbroken. I'm surprised Lomberg left, too. But again, you've taken the money. Most guys are going to take the money, which we explained all of that. When we come back for the CFL fans, we'll get into that, dabble in some baseball. It was a whole opening segment on NHL Free Agent Frenzy. We'll talk football when we come back, and then an hour 2, a free-for-all. AJ Jakubec and Kevin Karius coming up. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Canada's daytime sports talk show. Make your birthday unforgettable at Golden Ticket Sports Center here in Moose Jaw. Book your birthday party with us for a fun-filled celebration packed with sports, games, and endless excitement. Visit GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com to reserve your spot today. I'll get to viewer comments in a second. Please bring in the Moose. Our second point, the Toronto Blue Jays, 3-1 Canada Day losers to the visiting Houston Astros, have dropped 7 of their last 10. And they're stuck in the American League Eastern basement at 38-46, 15 games now behind co-leading Yankees and Orioles. The Jays host the Astros again tonight. Righty Jose Barrios will be on the mound. You were at the Canada Day loss, Moose. What's the vibe around the Jays in Toronto? Are they getting booed in their own bark, or what were people saying filing out of the facility?
It was actually a really great day. And it was an awesome atmosphere, and the crowd was in good spirits, and they're buying it. And it was a pretty large crowd, too. But it was Canada Day, and the Jays do Canada Day right. The big flag, they had a band. It was actually from the Canadian Armed Forces. It was their band playing a lot of great Canadian hits from, Loverboy and Trooper and all the rest. It was fun. They had all the decorations out. Canada Day celebration was awesome. But they left the bases loaded in the 8th inning, chance to tie and take the lead in the game. They left multiple runners on at multiple points in the game, didn't get a lot of hits, all these things. And by the end, everybody was just tired of it. They're like, you sucked us in again and let us down at the end. So it was not a lot of booing. It was a lot of grumbling on the way out. People disappointed. And I think if it wasn't Canada Day, I think we're going to see, and the Astros are just a 500 baseball team. So I think we're going to see more empty stadiums as the season moves on. But it was a fun day because it was Canada Day, but the fans got suckered again.
In the Western Canadian Baseball League, the league with which we partner and I work, we won our Canadian Canada Day game here in Moose Jaw 6-2 over the Edmonton Prospects, and we'll do it again tonight, 7:05 at Ross Wells Park. Tune us in on Home Team Live. Regina and Saskatoon split a doubleheader up at Cairns Field. Sylvan Lake swept Lethbridge. Fort McMurray beat Brooks 7-2. Okotoks over Swift Current 10-4, and Medicine Hat beat Weyburn 16-4. To the comments when I said that I would, if I owned a team or was the GM of a team, I would be doing exactly what Barry Trotz is doing, hiring serial winners. It's pretty simple. We don't have time for you to figure this out. So I'm hiring people that have been there before and know how to do it. It ain't that hard. Jeff the Stamps fan writes it and says, but there's something to be said about developing and nurturing coaches too. That's how you make the game and league better. Sure, my job is to win. I want to win. End of story. So if other teams want to be a development, you go right ahead. We're here to win. And I'll guarantee you, my team would win. And the thing with Barry Trotz, so he's got Andrew Burnett in there as his head coach. Bruno got his first head coaching job with the Florida Panthers, and they won a President's Trophy, but they lost in round 2. He got thrown overboard by the Panthers. So that's not to say he doesn't know how to coach, but he learned from that, right? And I think that he is, well, Trotzy said he wants it as players, but I would think that he wants it as coaches as well. So again, that's my thing. Not every team maybe feels it that way. And to be honest, I don't think every team does see it that way, but that's how I see it. From the text line, hang on, 902-518-3033, Brian in Hudson's Bay says, I guess the Leafs did enough for all the experts to pick them to win another Stanley Cup this year. LOL. Nashville did some good things. Should be a contender. My Red Wings did next to nothing. Oh, well. And he says, I guess we'll see how that works out. I sure hope Shea Pedersen got some game. We'll find out, I guess. And that's a wonderful segue into our third point, which is CFL football, week 4. Trevor in Red Deer writes in and he says, good morning, Rod Squad. A great weekend of CFL football. Congratulations to the Stampeders for their overtime win over the Bombers. Go Stamps, go. Well, my third point was Trevor Harris and then dovetailing into the rest of point 4 because the Rough Riders had a bye. They came out for their practice on Sunday, and Trevor Harris, the star quarterback, the 38-year-old quarterback, was in a knee brace, and we've learned that Trevor Harris will not play for Saskatchewan. He's going to the 6-game injured list. A lot of fans writing the season off, and while I'm not willing to do that just yet, I may Thursday night because Shea Pedersen is going to start. A lot of the Millers and their fans are going to that game, by the way, at Mosaic Stadium Thursday night, which is cool. The Toronto Argonauts will be in town. So the number 1 quarterback, the highest paid Rough Rider of all time, Trevor Harris, is now on the 6-game injured list. So the backup starts, Shea Pedersen. And I'm sorry, but I think this is his first career start in the CFL. He played in the spring leagues in the States. But, Darren, if they can't beat Toronto, then it's done. Then they're done, in my mind, Thursday night. You?
I'm not quite there, but this is a big game, no doubt. And it's not a must-win game for me for Saskatchewan, but Shea Pedersen has to come out and prove that he can lead this offense and be a competent quarterback. Toronto's coming off a loss too, right? Like they need a win too, and they're a very good football team. But the Riders aren't in must-win territory right now, obviously, but they need to show that Shea Pedersen can come out and lead this team, and the offense can look competent without Trevor Harris. Otherwise, fans will panic because it's the exact same script as last season. Get off to a great start, quarterback gets hurt, and you don't do anything the rest of the way, and you end up missing the playoffs. So this is a big audition. We're either going to be panicking, the Rider fans, or they're going to be confident that Shea Pedersen can hold their own. The one positive is that, the Riders said it doesn't look serious, but anytime you're starting quarterbacks not on the field and going to miss time, that's serious enough.
I hear and see all the same things that you're saying about this. Oh, no, here we go again. And you can't blame the fans. But they're smart. They know the game. It's a new backup quarterback, and it's a new coaching staff. But until you prove that this ain't the way it used to be, you can't blame people for feeling that way. So that's why Thursday night might be the game of the week. Now, having said all that, there were the guy, Trevor in Red Deer, said, what a fantastic week of CFL football. And it was. The BC-Edmonton game, we kicked that around on Friday. Edmonton just found another way to lose again by 3, 24-21. I hope people don't mind me mixing my football and hockey metaphors, but I spent a lifetime in both, so I'm going to do that. I saw Dave Campbell, their radio guy, good friend of mine for the Elks, saying we've lost 4 games by a combined 17 points. That reminds me of 1-goal games in hockey. I was sitting with a coach of the Flames, he was an assistant coach. We were watching their rival talk about how many 1-goal games they'd lost, and that coach said, the fact that you can't win a 1-goal game just tells us you're not good enough. And it was really ironic that 10 years later, I saw that coach at the podium. He was with another team saying that, well, we've lost 35 1-goal games. I'm like, you said... That same guy was then using that excuse. But anyways, what I'm saying is I don't care what the small margin is of why Edmonton's lost all these games or by how little. It just tells me you're not good enough, is my point. And they're not good enough, Darren. You know that. I said the game of the week would be the Montreal-Toronto game. And to be honest, I watched that one and I really enjoyed it. And I think it was the game of the week. But again, I'm biased because I love Cody Fajardo so much. It looked like a good time in Toronto. Terrible crowd. We're used to that. Alouettes 30, Argos 20. I watched the first half of the Calgary-Winnipeg game at Wendell Clark's in Saskatoon. Not his house, the restaurant. And it was a very low-scoring game at halftime there at Wendell's. The boys said to say hi, by the way, Darren. That's your town more than mine, but our viewership has skyrocketed there. I'm not sure why, but I like it. Maybe it's because of those signs at the Rattlers game on the ribbons on the sidelines for the Rod Pedersen.
Could be.
I don't know, but advertising works. Anyways, Calgary went on to win at 22-19 in overtime on our Rennie Parady's field goal, and the Bombers are 0-4. Zach Caleros is hurt. We're getting closer to saying the good times are over for the Blue Bombers. But really, the game of the week, I turned on the last 2 minutes of the Ottawa-Hamilton game, and it's all that I needed. I got home from the lake here into Moose Jaw, turned it on. I saw the Ottawa go up, and then Bo bring the Hamilton back, and then they went up, and then I saw Ottawa go the other way down the field, and they kick a field goal to win the game, and I'm like, this is why we love it, right? No lead is safe, and it ended up being the game of the week that nobody voted for the game of the week. Ottawa beating Hamilton. So that's my synopsis of week 4. What's yours?
Isn't that great? You know, and I feel bad for Hamilton because they played pretty well. I think in most of their games, except the one, the back end of the home and home with Saskatchewan, losing the second game. But other than that, they've been right there. And it's a similar story to Edmonton. You know, a lot of feel-good stories, a lot of moral victories. Bo was really good. You know, I like seeing premier quarterbacks in this league, and Bo Levi leading what you hope is a game-winning drive in the final minute. But as you said, this is the CFL, man, and you got to play right till that final whistle. And credit Ottawa and Drew Brown and that team, young quarterback doing a lot of good things. So a really fun week. Again, you know, Winnipeg making it interesting, but losing again. You're right. You said almost getting close to calling it over. You're almost getting close to calling the season in trouble. 4 games in, it's not necessarily in trouble, but they got to be sweating a little bit.
You said you feel bad for Hamilton. I don't. And that's not just because Bo Levi and I don't get along. I've been with unbelievably bad teams, 3-15 CFL teams. And not only did nobody feel bad for us, they laughed at us. I remember one time flying into Montreal with the Rough Riders, and the pilot goes, welcome to Montreal. Touchdown in Montreal. That's the only one you're going to get this weekend. Everybody breaks out laughing on the flight crew, and we're like, you son of a... Yeah. No, I don't feel sorry for them, because nobody felt sorry for us. Sorry. David in Winnipeg says, good morning, Rod and Moose. David, number one, if you won the lottery tomorrow, what's one thing you'd never do again immediately? Work. Yeah, work. Because I'll say this, at this stage of my life, I'm kind of got one foot off the hot plate. You don't see me embroiled in any controversies, any fights. We're not sitting here having to apologize for anything that I've said in a heat of the moment emotion, you know. And now Serena, she is like the star of the Cats and Bolts podcast, and I'm in the background. I'm like, I kind of like this. I've been on the front of the stage since I was 17. That's a lot of pressure. I'm kind of liking not having my butt in the hot water anymore and the pressure that goes with it. So if I won a lottery, you wouldn't see me again. That's a guarantee. Moose,
Are you playing the lottery currently?
I've won the lottery, dude. I'm working with you. I've won the lottery.
Well, look at that. So if I won the lottery,
gal.
Yeah. The thing I would stop doing is playing the lottery. I'd be done. I'd put my feet up, and I still got a lot of years of work left. I probably wouldn't.
I was
change
sitting
too
in
much,
the bank.
Except,
I was sitting in the. Yeah. What? Well, we'll pick this
you're
up
sitting in the
next hour.
bank.
What a great question from David. Nah, that's a cliffhanger we'll keep for hour 2 because AJ's ready to go next.
All right.
Okay, I'll see you in hour 2.
You bet.
AJ Jakubec, the voice of the Red Blacks. When we come back, we're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch. Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown. Some girls don't like boys like me. With Shenandoah. You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road. Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center. I'll take the dirt road. Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. 6 days on the road and I'm Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, everybody. The RP Show is brought to you by the Saskatchewan Rattlers professional basketball team. They play at a SaskTel Center, offering the best entertainment for all of Saskatchewan sports fans. Their season has started. As a matter of fact, they're 5-7 now. Leadership from their NBA experienced head coach, Larry Abney. They're home Friday night to the Scarborough Shooting Stars. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.ca or head on down to the Rattlers front office in downtown Saskatchewan. Let's bring in AJ Jakubec now. He is the voice of the CEBL team in Ottawa. But right now, the on a roll, Ottawa REDBLACKS. AJ, before we go any further, are they back? Are the REDBLACKS back?
I'm not 100% convinced yet. But the one thing that they've done, Roddy, is just they've won a couple of games that they would have lost the last 4 years. They were losing. They were just finding ways to lose the last 4 years. And the Hamilton game is a prime example. They had a couple of controversial calls, whether they should have gone for him or against him. I mean, I don't know. The command center, I couldn't tell you what pass interference and what isn't pass interference when they go to the command center anymore, because I have no idea. Just spin that wheel and see what it comes down on. And okay, well, I guess it's not pass interference in this instance. So, look, they had a couple of controversial calls go against them, and they give up a late score with 28 seconds to go. And you're thinking, well, here we go again. We've seen this movie a few times in the last 4 years, and especially last season when they just found ways to lose. But with 28 seconds left, they got the big return, a couple of first downs, and next thing you know, Lewis Ward kicks the game-winning field goal. So they've won a couple of those so far this season. They haven't been overly convincing, but they're 2-1, and now playing a Bombers team that I don't think too many people expected to be 0-4. They're banged up. Their offense hasn't been good. So I think we'll get some more answers to those questions this weekend in Winnipeg.
Look at you looking ahead already, but just hang on. There's, as you know, because you're an Edmonton guy, but you've been in Ottawa a long time, probably longer than you've been anywhere else. But there has been a narrative across the country, because I hear it, that Ottawa isn't good CFL fans because they've had two teams fold before. And I know that it's not the fans' fault. It's the team's fault. But people don't seem to understand that. And I'm watching that game the other night, and the fans are just deliriously happy in the stadium. It's like you guys have been winners for the last decade since coming back into the CFL. Like, your fans are great, is my point. And they've really stuck with the team through some pretty crappy times here lately.
I think so. I think so as well. And I think Ottawa's a very underrated sports city when you look at, like, we're going to have 12 teams next year. If you include, like, the Ravens and the GGs, Carleton, Ottawa, and the programs that they have, and they're all well supported, like 25,000 for the Panda game between Ottawa and Carleton. They get 10,000 for Capital Hoops when the Ravens and GGs play each other. Highest drawing team in the PWHL in the inaugural season, drawing consistently over 5,000 for soccer here. So, and this was the first city to sell out in one city the entirety of the World Juniors back in 2009, the infamous Eberle goal against the Russians. And then, of course, they beat Sweden for gold. So, and you've got not just the NHL, but you've got two major junior teams here. And they're both in the top third in attendance in their respective leagues, the 67s in the OHL and the Gatineau Olympics in the Q. So, yeah, and back to the REDBLACKS fans. I mean, 14 wins in 4 years. That's what it was. Now it's 16 in 4 and a bit. But they've given them a lot of reasons not to come on the field. They had over 20,000 for the last game, which they only cracked. Like last year, crowds were mainly 18, 19,000. They had one that cracked 20. The fact that they cracked 20 for that game against Hamilton. Now they brought in Big Rec, so that certainly helped, and the weather was good. But the fans here, if you give them a team to support, and it doesn't have to be 12-6, they just need to be competitive.
the fans will come out.
Yeah, I love the town, and so I know exactly what you're saying, but it just people, unless you go there and spend some time, you wouldn't know. So I'm glad that you took the opportunity to kind of extol the virtues of Ottawa. Well, you're already thinking about the game Friday at Winnipeg, obviously. So what's your preview of that one?
Well, by the way, I'm a big Canada soccer guy. That's right in the middle of Canada-Venezuela quarterfinals at Copa. So it's kind of killing me that I missed the Argentina game in the middle of the Montreal game. Feels like every Red Blacks game is right in the middle of Canada's run here at Copa America. But I'll be focused on the game. I'm curious to see how it's going to play out. I mean, Winnipeg, I felt last year like their aura of invincibility had gone. And I wasn't surprised. I was one of the few that took Montreal to beat them in the Grey Cup. So that's gone. And I think that's half the battle is teams going to Winnipeg now, believing that they can be competitive, believing that they can win football games. But offensively, I mean, right now, these are the two worst offensive teams scoring points in the CFL. We're 4 weeks into the season, and Ottawa's only played 3 games, but the Bombers, the only team averaging under 20 points a game. So it doesn't help that Kenny Lawler's out with a broken arm. It certainly doesn't help that Dalton Schoen is out for the season. Now they brought in Lucky Whitehead. I'm really leery of writing off the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, given their head coach, Zach Collaros and all the veterans from Willie Jefferson to Adam Bighill to Nick Dembski and on that they have on that roster. But I feel like this is a massive game for Winnipeg. So I'm still thinking Winnipeg should be the favorite going into this one. But my goodness, if Ottawa can find a way to squeak out another win on the road, that will maybe boost their hopes to believe that they are for real this year. And boy, I mean, we've seen teams go 0-5 and win the Grey Cup before. BC did it. We've seen teams go 0-9 in this league and make the playoffs. Montreal did it in 2014. So you're never really out of it in the CFL, but this feels like must-win territory real early for the Bombers against Ottawa on Friday.
Guys, what a start we've had. Great games, and that's why we love the CFL. But I'm going to wind it up with this, AJ. I'm selfishly going to ask you just your simple take on why the Senators got rid of Jakubec Chychrun, because his dad's become a very close friend of mine, and I know Jeff's dad, John, who's from Good Eve, Saskatchewan, they didn't want Jacob to leave Ottawa. Jacob didn't want to leave Ottawa.
Yeah.
And he still had a year left on his deal. Why'd they trade him?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know what didn't work there. Because as you mentioned, it's such a great family, the Chycruns, and such a great story when he came here and he wanted to be here. And so I have no idea what didn't work there, but you could just tell at the end of the season that they were set to go in different directions. And, quite frankly, the deal that sends him to Washington to bring in Nick Jensen in the 3rd round pick is pretty underwhelming from an Ottawa standpoint, although I do like, on the whole, what they've done in the offseason, especially adding Linus Ullmark for the Boston Bruins. I think they felt they needed more defensive defensemen. You've got Thomas Chabot, you've got Jake Sanderson. They're going to miss that bomb from the point because, Chabot's a guy that, while he skates well and moves the puck well, he doesn't have a great shot for the power play. Sanderson, he's got endless potential. He's going to be Ottawa's best defenseman for the next decade. So certainly love what he brings to the table. But yeah, I don't know what the issue was with Chychrun and the organization. I haven't been able to really snuff that out. But for whatever reason, it felt like both parties were looking for a change of scenery at this stage, and wishing Jacob all the best in Washington because, as you mentioned, such an awesome family.
Well, I guess if you can shake hands and not take it personally, it is what it is, right? And you move on. AJ, always good, brother. Always good. Good luck Friday in Winnipeg. Man, let's do it again soon.
Likewise, Roddy. Take care.
AJ Jakubec, the voice of the Ottawa REDBLACKS. We'll be back in a moment. We're live on the Game Plus television network across Canada and 31 U.S. states. On the radio in Atlanta, WQEE, where we are Atlanta's NHL show, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, everybody, we have some breaking news from the Canadian Elite Basketball League. By the way, did you catch the doubleheader on TSN yesterday? The Saskatchewan Rattlers announced today that the club signed 6'6" guard Teddy Allen for the remainder of the season. The reigning league MVP out of Phoenix will return to the CEBL to continue his third season. He will make his Rattlers debut this Friday night at SaskTel Center in a matchup against one of his former teams, the Scarborough Shooting Stars. Teddy Allen, a Saskatchewan Rattler. If you follow it, you'll know that's big news, and if you don't follow it, now you know. Meanwhile, on the court, Elijah Miller's CEBL single-game record 10 three-pointers helped the Edmonton Stingers hold off the Saskatchewan Rattlers 88-81 Monday afternoon at the Expo Center in Edmonton. I did watch that one prior to our baseball game here last night. And then in the nightcap, the Vancouver Bandits ran away with a 105-83 win over the East Division leading Niagara River Lions Monday night at Langley Event Center, a bounce-back performance following their disheartening 19-point loss to their conference rival Stingers on Saturday. Now, next hour, we're going to get into a lot of fun stuff, all kinds of things. But I had occasion, and I thank our friend Lee Genier, the president of the Rattlers, for introducing me to Richard Petco, the owner of the whole CEBL. He owns the league. And he's been on this show before, but this is the first time I ever actually got to meet him face-to-face. And we had a big time up there at SaskTel Center. And he's one of those guys that we got to the bottom of things fast. You know what I mean? So I'll tell some of those stories next hour. He's just a cool dude out of Niagara Falls, St. Catharines area, Ontario. The sports update is for Landmark Cinemas, now playing at Landmark Cinemas. Bad Boys, Ride or Die. This summer, the world's favorite bad boys are back with their iconic mix of edge-of-your-seat action and outrageous comedy, but this time there's a twist. Miami's finest are now on the run. Starring Tiffany Haddish, Vanessa Hudgens, Will Smith, and Martin Lawrence, now showing at Landmark Cinemas. Bad Boys, Ride or Die. Also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, our good friends out of Calgary. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. Hey, 902-518-3033 is the number to reach us here in the studio, which is the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Lars writes in, and he's in Moose Jaw. He says, hey, any thoughts on Stan Bowman and Joel Quenneville being reinstated, and any chance Bowman being the next Oilers GM? Well, if you saw Jeff Jackson, the president of hockey of the Oilers, said he's been too busy to even think about Stan Bowman. I'm hearing a lot of things out of Edmonton, and obviously I'm thinking about what I should say. I'm hearing things from the Ken Holland side, and he's no longer with the team anymore. So let's not talk about who's going to be the next GM of the Oilers. I'm not comfortable talking about that. But as far as the fact that Quenneville and Bowman are eligible to be, I'm okay with it. Darren, and we'll get into this after the break when he returns. He's read the whole 64-page report on what went down in Chicago. I did not. But I do have a lot of friends who worked for or played in that organization at the time, and they have thoughts, and I'll be honest, what I will say is Bowman and Quenneville weren't the guilty party. The coach Aldridge was, and I don't feel that they should have to pay for the rest of their lives or their careers. That's what I think. Darren may feel differently. I think Aldridge should pay for the rest of his life, absolutely. I do, because I don't think to this day he's ever apologized or shown any remorse. But that, I don't know. This is just what I hear. This is from my friends within the organization. But I think Quenneville and Bowman do deserve a chance, because I'm a second chance, third chance, fourth chance kind of guy. So, yeah, and hey, maybe we should put that to Oiler fans. Would you like Stan Bowman as your GM? We'll kick that all around and more when we come back in hour 2, and Kevin Karius will join us as well, all after this.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
I was born to broadcast. So the World Juniors 2012, I'm calling the national radio feed. I'm sitting there in the press box of the Saddle Dome like this, playing Pac-Man on my phone. Ray Ferraro, he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "What are you doing?" "I'm playing Pac-Man on my phone." "I just died." And he goes, "Don't you have game prep to get ready for the game or something?" "No, I know the numbers. I know everything about them. Let's get the game going."
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody, we are, believe it or not, staying right on track, and it feels weird. Welcome to Hour 2 of your favorite daytime sports talk show, Canada's daytime sports talk show here on Game Plus TV, but also, coincidentally, Atlanta's NHL show on Key Radio 99.1 FM, and then streaming. I'm here at the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Moose is in Toronto, and he joins us now. I'm just going to recap what we've talked about so far, Darren, for those that missed it. And then we'll look ahead. Number one, NHL free agency. Our poll question today is who's winning it? Our options are the Leafs, the Devils, the Predators, or other. And running away with it is the Nashville Predators, signing Brady Shea, Steven Stamkos, and Jonathan Marchessault. But Oiler fans are saying, what about us? What about you? We talked about the Blue Jays losers, 7 of their last 10. They got the Astros in there tonight. We talked about Trevor Harris going to the 6-game injured list for Saskatchewan. I'm saying if Saskatchewan doesn't beat Toronto Thursday night with a backup quarterback, the season's over. Darren doesn't agree. We recap CFL Week 4, and we have not talked about Copa America soccer, and I kind of feel like we won't. Darren, I don't know if you saw near the end of Hour 1, Lars wrote in and asked what I thought about Stan Bowman and Joel Quenneville being reinstated by the NHL and can now seek employment. I'm all for it. But I didn't really know how you felt about it, and I didn't want to speak for you. So you saw the news, obviously. What are your thoughts?
I did, and I've seen a lot of the reaction on social media, the good reaction and the negative reaction. Watched a lengthy video from Daniel Carcillo, the former NHL tough guy, talking about it and his experiences with both Quenneville and Stan Bowman and McKinnon and the other one, Al. Why does his name escape me? I want to say Al McInnes. That's not right. But anyways, the point is they've been out of the league now for 2.5 seasons, and probably an appropriate punishment. But the league feels that they've done the work, that they've, are all remorseful, understand their role, understand what their role should be moving forward, and they deem them eligible to return to the National Hockey League. And I tend to agree. I think we should, pride people for second chances, for their ability to look at a situation and understand their role in the situation. I think we've seen that. We've seen these 3 guys talk about what they could have done better. They understand it. They haven't fought it. They haven't fought the punishment. They accepted it. They've gone through some of the work, and now they're eligible to enter the league again. And I think, that's probably how the system should work.
They've served their time. They're back. So if anybody has a problem with that, that clearly is their problem. Maybe I should ask you, Lars, how do you feel about it? But I just feel those in the cancel culture realm or those that are doing the blackballing, how would you feel if you were in their shoes? That you either aren't or never have been. So you're welcome to your opinion, but Gary Bettman's reinstated them, and really that's all that matters. And as far as Daniel Carcillo goes, I don't care about anything of what he has to say. I don't think he's stable. That's my thoughts on that. But, it's interesting because Kevin Cheveldayoff's name doesn't come up anymore, and he was the assistant GM of the Blackhawks at the time. Now, he was interviewed, as you know, forced to explain himself to the commissioner, did, and was never punished for it. And I just want to bring up that on the weekend, I told you I was talking to hockey people. There was somebody connected to the Jets. That's all I want to say, and that is all I will say, that said Paul Maurice left Chevy holding the bag. And I was like, stepping down as head coach in the middle of December 2021. And I'm like, that's one way of looking at it. I don't think Paul Maurice felt good about it, but I think he felt like that was what was best for the team, and it darn sure turned out to be what was best for him. And there are people writing in here on the text line saying that the Jets not only didn't win free agency, they got worse. Is that what the story's going to be, that Paul Maurice left the Jets holding the bag? Because I never looked at it that way until it was presented to me that way.
I mean, that was definitely half of the argument, or the way people looked at it. You look at it either one of two ways. He resigned because he couldn't, get them where he needed to go, which is what he said, and you just took Paul Maurice at his word. Or other people who said, look, like, he just put up his hands and said, I'm done with you guys. I'm going to leave you high, and he left them high and dry. So whichever side of that you fall on, you probably have reason to believe it, and there's probably truth on both sides. And at the end of the day, all we can do is take people at their word. Like Paul Maurice, I believe, had no intentions of leaving Winnipeg to sign in Florida. Like, I don't think that was on the table when he left. But when opportunities present themselves, no matter what the timing is, we have to look at them. He did. It worked out pretty well for him. And to be honest, I think the Winnipeg Jets are a little bit better today than they were when Paul Maurice left. So I think it's, again, I've said this, I've been consistent on it. It's something that's worked out well for both sides.
Well, this is the thing that, again, it's Serena says it, and by the way, she's listening right now, out for a walk in South Florida, and she says it's dangerously hot. Hi to everybody from Serena. But I can't even remember what my point was. I lose my mind when it comes to her. But when it comes to Paul Maurice and the Jets, I think it's basically this. He's just going to be a convenient scapegoat, maybe forever. You know what I mean? And the one thing, you say you take people at their word. I don't. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to get over that. I used to. But I don't anymore. For a variety of reasons that I won't get into here. But I will say this about Paul Maurice. I've been around him. I've never had a one-on-one conversation with him in our time in South Florida, but obviously a lot of my friends there have. And there's not one time, nobody has ever said he said one ill-begotten word about Winnipeg or the Jets. Nothing. Maybe at the end of the night he tucks his head under the covers and mother F's them. I don't know. But he's not telling anybody anything bad about Winnipeg, and he won't. And then when they win the Stanley Cup, he says he wishes they win the Stanley Cup or the next team to do it. Everybody's like, you see, I'm sure I don't know about you, but I was watching that go, he didn't. He did.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess the point is this. If you want to make him the scapegoat, which as I sit here and think about it, that's probably what they were doing. He's an easy scapegoat. He's not here anymore, so let's blame him. Meanwhile, he's riding around on a boat with a Stanley Cup. I don't think he cares. Yeah.
So maybe we'll move on. People for your problems, right?
Right. I just put a bow on the whole dang thing. How about that? Chris in Ontario, Heidelberg, Ontario, writes in and he says, happy for Jeff Skinner going to the Oilers. Edmonton, please make the playoffs next season. And he says, in my mind, pretty good replacement for Warren Fogle. God bless the Oilers fans, man. They're just so darn optimistic. Because I don't mind this. I was very carefully tiptoeing around my words at the end of hour one because I'm hearing all of Ken Holland's side. And that's not from Ken. It's from his side. He's leaving because he was pinched out of the decision makers with the higher-ups. And I don't understand it at all. But these things happen. And I kind of wish I spent a little more time in my life working in industry because does this happen in government? Does this happen in farming? Like, all I've ever worked in is sports and media. And people tell me this stuff doesn't go on in the real world. I don't know. But, I mean, Ken Holland's won 4 Stanley Cups. You hired him to get you there, then he did, and then you don't let him make decisions? Why do teams do this, Darren? And yet, but the fans don't know that, right? So they just always going to be optimistic. But I can't wait for Kevin Karius to come on here later this hour from Sports 1440 Edmonton because he'll have a take on this, and I don't believe he'll sugarcoat it at all with where the Oilers are going. But the sense is not that they're going back to the Stanley Cup. Like the Panthers said, we're going back and we're going to win it. I haven't heard that out of Edmonton at all. Have you?
Well, no, not directly. I mean, I think there's still, it's tough. You're still licking your wounds from the Stanley Cup. Not a lot of time here to reflect. And
you better get over it. Get over it.
But I
get over it.
But for the Oiler fans that are talking about, free agency, I do think the Oilers are a better team today than they were in Game 7 against Florida. I think they've gotten better with what they've done in free agency. It's not a lot. They haven't done much, but I think they're a better team. You bring back a lot of good pieces. You lose Darnay in the back end, but I think with Brown, you replace him. Jeff Skinner is an addition with no playoff experience. Sure, not a game, but somebody who it seems to be a good culture fit where he goes. Like, you don't hear about Jeff Skinner being a bad guy or negative news about him. And he goes ahead and puts up points and scores goals, and he's played well with a lot of experience at a cheap contract. I think they've done some good things. Not enough to be, up there with Nashville or New Jersey or Chicago with what they've done in free agency. I do think they're a better team than they were at the end of the year, though. So that's, some good news for the Oilers.
I made the mistake of tiptoeing into the mentions on our Twitter post about our poll. Who's winning free agency? Devils, Leafs, Predators, or other? And the Oilers fans are going, oh, my God. They're loud. They're a loud bunch. You don't hear much out of Calgary. And Winnipeg, they're like, hey, we lost, which we've covered already. It's 11:11. Morning, bro. 11:11 Mountain, 1:11 Eastern. Oh, boy. Imagine a positive outcome to your current quagmire. I mean, that's an option. Oilers fans staying positive, that's a good thing. I'm going to switch gears here to the Canadian Football League because we have time in this segment. It's a big one Thursday night. Sounds like there's a lot of people going. Cole writes in from North Dakota, which, by the way, Darren, as you can tell, we're having a big time here in Moose Jaw this summer. The weather, to me, is great. It's cool. a little wetter than some would like. But I came up here for this, and I'm loving it. But I drove by a billboard this morning for North Dakota. It said, hello, neighbor. Be legendary. North Dakota. And I'm like, that kind of makes me want to go. Probably won't. And I'm not going to the Rider game on Thursday, but Cole is. He's from North Dakota. He writes in, he says, I'm going to the Riders-Argos game Thursday. When I got my tickets, it was going to be Chad Kelly and Trevor Harris as the quarterbacks. Now it's the battle of the backups. I still expect a good game and hopefully a Riders win. So Cole's on his way up from North Dakota for the game. Okay, delving into some of these comments. Darren, we're going to be pinballing all over the place, okay? So get ready. Get your dancing shoes on.
I'm ready.
Darren in Melford says maybe this will be the next one. Shea Pedersen. Have to be optimistic. I've seen a lot of great quarterbacks come into the game this way via injured starting quarterback. Time will tell, not pushing the panic button yet. That's why I'm saying Thursday night will tell the tale whether this season goes up in smoke or not. Is he going to be the next Tom Brady? Or is he going to be the next Brett Smith or Seth Deggy or Tino Sanseri? Hey! Ding, ding, ding. Jinx.
How about that?
So I'm going to reserve mine until Thursday night as well. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in and says, zero surprise that Jake Bean has landed with the Calgary Flame. Zero. His father, John, the outgoing president of the Calgary Flames organization. Camper writes in and says, Chevy, being careful, majority of the fan base is getting their wish. Perfetti, Heinola will play. Don't know if they're the answer, as some say, or hope. Robin in Prince Albert says, question, do you think that if it wasn't Stan Bowman or Joel Quenneville, would they have gotten a second chance? Because they're names and they've won Stanley Cups? I don't know how to answer that. Do you want to take a swing at it?
The answer is yes. I'd like to think that no matter what their names are, if they're remorseful, they understand, they take the situation seriously and take the steps necessary, then they should be reinstated. You know, the league wants to keep good people in the league and keep bad people out. Good people make mistakes. And clearly they feel good enough about the job that both those three have done in order to be members of the National Hockey League.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story. It's a good one. I got a few. And I do want to tell you that bank story as well. I've only been around Joel Quenneville in Florida as far as going to a news conference or whatever, but I've never had a conversation with him. But the guys that know him, love him, love him. Like Lanny McDonald would lay down in traffic for Joel Quenneville. And that's good enough for me. They played together in Colorado. And Stan Bowman, I don't know him either. But one time we went out for lunch in Buffalo. And Rich Sutter was with me. He can attest. There was a big, long gang. And it was about a 90-minute lunch. Or no, it was in St. Louis. I'm sorry. It was at the draft. Day before the draft, I think, a Friday. And the only guy at the table drinking Bud was Scotty Bowman. Everybody else was drinking their own, but the only guy drinking Budweiser was Scotty Bowman. And when the tab came after 90 minutes at lunch, the gal goes, 12 Budweiser? How are we splitting these? And we're like, what? You crushed 12 Bud in 90 minutes? And you wouldn't even know he'd had one? Just sitting there. Just a good guy talking hockey. It was like, that's a vet. That's a veteran right there.
Oh, yeah. Big
and
time.
Scotty was great. You don't last for as long as Scotty Bowman did or win as much as you did if you weren't a good guy and knew what you were doing. And from all of what I hear, Stan Bowman was a chip off the old block. And it's interesting how much people want to talk about this today, and I'm here for it. It's fine. Every team works differently. The teams don't all work the same. But I'll say this again. The cancel culture that's out after the Hockey Canada people, which, by the way, all the people from the 2018 incident, they're all gone, but people still want a pound of flesh from Hockey Canada. Like, they're all gone. What do you want now? But that's not enough for some people. And it's with Chicago. They didn't do what Robert Aldridge did. Could they have handled it better? Absolutely. Maybe they made a mistake. But I sure as hell hope for those people that are trying to cancel them that you never make a mistake. Because if you do, and people trying to hold you accountable for it for the rest of your life, you might look at things differently then. We'll be right back. Kevin Karius on the way. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
3033. 902 518 3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Okay. My phone's going off like crazy. Hang on. Just remind me, Moose, of Panthers TV, but I want to squeeze in a sports update here. The Toronto Blue Jays continue a 4-game series with the Astros at Rogers Center tonight. The Astros won last night's open at 3-1. He can bring Moose in. As the Jays suffered their 7th loss in 10 games, they're now 8 games back of the AL wildcard spot. Oh, man. The final spots in the Copa America soccer quarterfinals will be decided tonight. Brazil faces Colombia in Santa Clara, California, while Costa Rica takes on Paraguay in Austin, Texas. Colombia tops Group D with a 2-0 record, and Brazil is second with a win and a draw. Canada plays Venezuela in a Friday quarterfinal in Arlington, Texas. I'm actually really glad that I don't get into this, because last hour AJ seemed very torn up that he was going to have to broadcast a CFL game while Canada was playing a quarterfinal in the Copa. I'm reading it, though. I won't be watching, but I'm reading it, Darren. That's pretty good of me. Are you getting swept up in this because you're in Toronto, a far more cosmopolitan area than Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan?
Swept up, yeah, a little bit. I mean, I'm always going to watch, if I can, when Canada's playing. I've been getting into the Canadian games. Am I following the rest of it? Not that closely. Just it's not my sport. But, yeah, I get into it for sure. And Tajon Buchanan, if you want some insight, got hurt at practice today, which is not fun.
I didn't ask for that.
How about that?
I'm teasing you.
I'm teasing but you know what? Like,
yeah,
it is fun. It is fun to get involved. Yeah.
Sports update is for Landmark Cinemas. It's Seniors Day Monday. Get more of the movies you love every Monday for less. Seniors enjoy 20% off the posted seniors admission price, and to sweeten the deal, receive 20% off their concession purchase too. So make Mondays your movie day, because a great deal never gets old. Check your local and favorite Landmark Cinemas for showtimes and pricing. I guess it's all, we're into what we're into and what affects us. Right? Like, friend, my phone's going off because my guy Brent in Wellington, Florida just sent me this. From the Panthers, we have signed a multi-year agreement with the Scripps Company to locally broadcast Cats hockey free for residents in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and Fort Myers. And I'm like, I wrote him, Brent, I'm like, so? Doesn't affect much. But wait a minute. We live in Boca Raton. He lives in Wellington. I'm like, are you saying we won't get the Panthers on television? Now but that affects me. Nobody cares about that that's watching right now. Maybe there's more soccer fans watching than that, but they're going nuts now in South Florida that not everybody's going to be able to get the games. Welcome to sports in 2024. I will be honest.
You gotta pay.
You gotta pay. I don't really know what this is, but you have to understand something. Not you. Hockey in the Sun Belt ain't like it is in Canada. When I first went down there 3 years ago, the Panthers were playing a preseason game, and I looked to find it on TV, and I couldn't find it. And I said to Serena, where's the game? She goes, well, maybe they're streaming it. Excuse me? NHL preseason game not on television? I'm used to that in Canada. We have all 82 games on TV, plus the preseason. Not down there, bro. And even though the Panthers won the Stanley Cup, no, I don't know. I shouldn't speak too, but they're still very low down the pecking order, a far ways down the Dolphins, behind the Heat, and in some cases behind high school sports. So 300,000 show up for the parade on Sunday. That's cool. There's a lot of it's the thing to do, but it's just this might be a bit of a reality check for the Panthers. A fraction of people are going to get your games on TV last year, and Bally don't care. They had been carrying their television that you won the Stanley Cup. But anyways, enough about that. Did you have any more thoughts on the Bowman-Quenneville thing before we move on to other things?
No, I think we pretty much got that out, and we're not going to change people's minds. They're going to feel what they want to feel. Some people will never be happy with them in the league, and others will be the complete opposite. But we are where we are, and I think we're pretty comfortable in how we feel about it.
I got to be honest with you. I kind of feel like I'm getting up to speed finally on sports and sports media in 2024. Allie in Texas writes in and she says, I'm worried that is what's going to happen in Dallas. I will pay, but I'm afraid they will only make it available to the local Dallas channels. That is the difference, folks, between Canada's NHL and America's NHL. It ain't the same. It's almost like, what have I told you, Darren? I used to think the 49th parallel was just a virtual little dotted line that like you see on the globe or in your atlas. No, when it comes to sports and television, it might as well be a Berlin Wall. 12-foot wall. We're going to build a wall. That's what it is, man. It's in Canada because it's number one. You have no problem watching the NHL. In America, because it's very low down the totem pole, it is hard to get your games, even if you just won the Stanley Cup. Now, furthermore, people are writing in here about the Copa America soccer. Daniel says, yes, I'm watching Canada. Canada's doing well. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, are you sure all preseason games are televised in Canada? I've never had a problem finding them, Jeff. But AJ said last hour, Darren, that in Ottawa, next year they're going to have 12 teams in the market. And this is where I think everybody needs to perk up. He goes, we led the PWHL in attendance this year, the Professional Women's Hockey League. You in Toronto had the WNBA showing up. And to be honest, I've said it. I would buy a ticket for that because I want to go see Caitlin Clark. From what I hear, the CFL people are very threatened by the Canadian Elite Basketball League. If that's not true, somebody tell me, but I could see how they would be. Doubleheader airing on TSN yesterday. Did you notice the barns were full? This ain't your dad's sports country anymore. There's competition. Get on board or get out of the way. What are you seeing in the landscape across the country? Yeah, what are you seeing? The NHL still reigns. It's like the NFL in America. They really don't have anything to worry about. But the other sports, I think, do.
Yeah, and they all do to an extent, but you're getting more and more competition between the National Hockey League, the Canadian Football League, the Canadian Elite Basketball League. You look at MLS and the two big centers in Vancouver, Toronto, but the CPL everywhere in between. There's a women's pro soccer league coming to Canada that's going to affect. There are countless other. There's junior hockey. Then there's the university sports scene too, to go on top of that, and everything else in between. There's summer baseball out west. There's summer baseball here. There's tons of competition, and they're all looking for dollars, not just for ticket sales, but merchandise and social media and web traffic and television viewers. It's highly, highly competitive. I can tell you this, the ones who will win will be the ones with the greatest self-awareness and ability to understand where they fall in the marketplace, who their audience is, and then go after them. Don't think you're bigger than you are. Also, don't think you're smaller than you are, and understand who's available to target.
I can't believe what we just hit on a nerve here. And I know what I say. I can smell a hot topic like a fart in the car. And Allie in Texas writes in, she says, I can't tell you how many times I've changed providers to get to watch my Stars. Daniel Upsdale writes in, he says, that's the difference here in Vancouver. You get every Canuck game. Utah Darren writes in, he says, the first thing they announced in Utah was the free channel. All the games for the Utah Hockey Club would be on. Of course, because they're new. It's the new shiny thing. And by the way, it's Utah. What the hell else are you going to do? But to be honest, I'm not as wound up about this as my guy Brent in Wellington, Florida. Not yet. I mean, the news just came out this morning. But you know what I'll do? I'll go down. Well, number one, either Serena and I will move to get the game so we can get Scripps television, but probably won't do that. I will go down to the local bar and watch the games. I don't care. She doesn't really want to watch them anyways, unless it's the Oilers. It's 2024. Again, I've been parroting that all show. So you either go to a bar or get the streaming and pay for it. I don't get how this is such a big thing. You're a cord cutter, Darren. How do you watch your sports? Sorry to out you, but you are. How do you get your sports to watch?
Well, I watch on the channels, like whether that's, TSN Plus, Sportsnet Plus here, like across Canada. You pay, and that's one part of, you don't want, like, if you want to have a cable subscription where everything's available, on the package you buy, then you have to pay for what you want. And it means if you want to have the hockey games, you got to pay for them. I think, like, here's what I think about cable television. Just because we're cutting the cords doesn't mean we're saving all the money, right? They've done the math. Adding Netflix and Hulu and Apple and Amazon and all the rest, adding all the packages is the same as an all-inclusive cable package. The price is the same. You're just buying them through the streaming service.
Or more.
But you're still paying. You're not going to cut cable and instantly save the money unless you're not going to watch, right? Unless you're just not going to watch television. But we're going to stream and your sports and all the rest. You get to pay for what matters for you. That's all it is. So if you want the games, you got to pay.
Tony from George Fox Country writes in, he says, I fear NFL Sunday Ticket is now gone. Been paying for it for years to watch my Browns. Now what? Tony, you should be thankful that you can't watch the Browns. You're welcome. But these are things that I've never really had to worry about because as a Dallas Cowboys fan, they're always playing in prime time on the main networks. I don't ever miss a Cowboys game. I've never had to buy a Sunday Ticket. And Alabama Crimson Tide's my college team. They're always on a major network, ABC, CBS, on a Saturday. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to all that. I just feel like if you pay enough, you'll get it, is kind of what we've circled on here, right? Any last thoughts before I let you go and bring in Kevin Karius?
No.
Sounds like you've got a lot here right now.
Sunday Ticket's still alive. It's now YouTube TV or whoever else provides it. That's all fine. There was one thought I want to sneak in before I leave for the day, and you mentioned Sam Reinhart earlier. I never touched on it. I think that's one of the most underrated moves in free agency is Sam Reinhart re-signing in Florida. 57 goals he had this year. He could have went somewhere else and found a lot more money. But you know what? He was good in Buffalo, not the player he has been in Florida. When you find a situation that works for you and you can succeed in, stay there. And that's what Sam Reinhart's doing. He loves it in Florida. He's playing well in Florida, so stay in Florida. So I like that move.
He took a big financial haircut to stay for sure, or what he could have got. BW in Edmonton writes in, he says, I pay $240 for Sportsnet for the year to watch NHL while on the highway. I bet it'll be over $300 this coming season. Yep, you'll pay it and you'll love it. Okay, Moose, have a great day.
See ya.
Kevin Karius in next from Sports 1440 Edmonton. We're live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained, aren't you entertained?
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
We really sparked a big discussion there on sports television and the Florida Panthers switching broadcast networks. We'll get into that later. Kevin Karius joins us from Sports 1440. It's pretty easy up there, isn't it, Dickie? Sportsnet, every Oiler game. Not that hard. You don't got to worry about this kind of stuff, eh?
No, yeah, I mean, that's the way it is, Normie. I mean, and I don't think every preseason game is broadcast for the Oilers. I know that. But, yeah, every game it's on, you know when it is, and it's on Sportsnet. And they just signed another 11-year extension there. That's the way it is, and it's pretty simple up here for sure.
Yeah, I swear Canadian NHL fans really don't know how lucky they have it, but they also never will. Not much of a mourning period for the Oilers losing Game 7, or am I like right into the draft, right into free agency? What's the scene up there?
I got to say, you got to give credit to Jeff Jackson and his staff here, because you lose 8 days ago. You get your heart ripped out, you're torn, losing by 1 goal in the Stanley Cup final, Game 7. And you got to get right back at it, jump on the horse. And I mean, yesterday was a fabulous day in free agency with all the pieces of the puzzle that they picked up. And to solidify the lineup that was, again, a goal short to winning it all. They made several key acquisitions yesterday and retained a lot of their key guys. So that was a big, big day for Jeff Jackson to get it done yesterday.
Well, hey, you've been around this longer than me. Not much longer, but the sooner you can remove the emotion, the better off you'll be in this nasty sport. Probably media too, but for sure, hockey.
Well, and again, I think it's such a big factor here that Jeff Jackson and his staff were able to do that. And not only that, but the players as well. If you look at, you can get Adam Henrique at $3 million per. And I know I had some guys on this morning on my show from Tampa Bay, and the Lightning were sniffing around Adam Henrique a lot. They could have got him at more money. He elected to stay here because he feels that this is a chance to win and go back to the Stanley Cup final again. But to flank him with Janmark and Connor Brown, and then to bring in two key pieces of the puzzle in Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson. Leon Draisaitl he's been having a tough go in the sense that Connor's had Zach Hyman, he's had Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and yeah, RNH has moved down to play with Leon many times over the course of the last couple of years. But now you've got Skinner and Arvidsson to start the season. You could have Hyman and RNH with Connor McDavid. Those are two deadly lines to start things off. The third line stays intact. You had a guy like Dylan Holloway, was the second line left winger in the Stanley Cup final. Gets pushed down to the fourth line. They still got to figure out what to do with Evander Kane because they're over the cap right now. But if he goes on long term, then they have that. They still have to find a way to sign. But there are RFAs in the sense of Broberg and Holloway. So that's just basically a QO and then some. But the pieces are in place for another solid Stanley Cup run for the Oilers.
Well, I guess that explains why the people are writing into our poll saying, why didn't you have Edmonton here as our top 3? Was who's winning free agency? We said Leafs, Devils, Predators, or other, and the Oilers fans are all upset. So basically, they're pretty optimistic there, because I got the sense last week, and maybe it's because they lost Game 7 of the Stanley Cup and we're losing Ken Holland, that people weren't that optimistic, but they obviously are.
I don't know why. I mean, I would have the Oilers at the top of the list. Nashville's up there, obviously, making the Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marsh. So don't forget about Brady Shea, really good defenseman. I have Nashville, I have the Oilers, and I have the Devils as the 3 winners yesterday for sure.
What do you think about Trotzy's comment, good old Notre Dame Hound, that he wants serial winners as players there?
Well, I love Barry Trotz. I don't know if when I was doing Oiler games, I did many games in Nashville because no one wanted to broadcast the games. You talk about what you're getting, like this is 12 years ago doing pay-per-view because that's how the landscape was different. Nashville, it was twice a year. No one wanted to broadcast those games. That's when every game wasn't on TV. Love Barry Trotz, got a lot of time for him. He is putting the right pieces in place there for the Preds to be successful.
I guess my point on that, I opened the show saying this, is if I was a GM or an owner, I would only sign or hire guys that had won before, which is what Trotz is saying. Now, that would preclude you from hiring guys like Knobloch. I'm not saying it's right, but I get what Trotsy's saying. I wouldn't be hiring a newbie or somebody that hasn't won. That's all I'm saying. And he would know. He's done a lot of winning.
Yeah, he's done a lot of winning, but he's also done a lot of losing. I mean, there were some pretty lean years in Nashville when he was getting things going with David Poile and things like that. So you find the right person. That's what you do. I don't care what the pedigree is. I mean, Chris Knobloch, if you're going to say, well, so yeah, he won in junior, he won in U of A as a player. So if he's the right person for the job, I think you got to look past what you're saying there.
Yeah, well, no way. And by the way, to make it clear, I extended that to coaches, but Barry was only talking about players. He wants to sign serial winners, and that's why he went with Marchessault and Stamkos. So I get that. But I'm just, hey, the Oilers tried it too, right? With Pat Quinn and, Tom Rennie, one of the junior level. The Oilers tried it as well. I'm just saying there's more than one way to do it. But I see where Trotz is coming from is what I'm saying. Yeah. By the way, Dick, you may or may not know, you really raised some eyebrows with your comments on the CFL last week because they're writing me going, your buddy Karius is saying the CFL's on life support. Is it that bad? I'm like, it's pretty bad. I've just stopped talking about it. Yeah, I said I've stopped talking about it because it pisses off everybody in the league. So tell me what you know and what you said that got everybody all worked up there.
What it said, it's dying on the vine. It's simple. Last night, West Coast Baseball, West Coast League outdrew the Elks for the first two games. West Coast League. This is collegiate baseball. They had 9,000 fans. Unbelievable atmosphere at used to be Old Telus Field, now at Remax Field. Unbelievable atmosphere. Yes, it's Canada Day. I get it. Elks had less than that for their first two games. Less than 9,000 fans. They're dying on the vine. It's that simple.
Okay, well, you've been in that town for, literally how long?
25 years. More.
Yeah,
20,
that's all? So when
27 years. Sorry, 1997.
Yes.
Whatever it was.
Well, we're getting old, Dick. So when they say it's because of the name change, or it's because of the economy, or it's because the stadium's old, what do you say when you hear all those excuses?
The name change is one thing. It's not the end all be all. I think, and people have to probably get over that. As I said last week, I'm led to believe that this ownership is done. It's a done deal. And I know who it is. I'm not going to say who it is right now, but that is something that will come into play here again with the new ownership group. Maybe they go back to a different name. I'm led to believe that's a strong possibility as well. We'll see what happens there, but it's just one thing. You can talk about but why does Winnipeg make $5 million? The Elks here had to go through problems with COVID just like everyone else. But you see, look, you watch in Toronto, there's no one at the game. These 5 o'clock Sunday starts are stupid. Get rid of the 5 p.m. Sunday starts. They make no sense to me at all. That's Mountain Time, so 7 o'clock Eastern. You want to go to a game if you're in Toronto or Hamilton or Ottawa at 7 p.m. on a Sunday night? Give me a break. Stupid.
Probably not. I never knew you were a dog guy. When did you become a dog guy?
Yeah, he's in the other room over there. I'm going to have to take him outside here or something. We got a dog. Yeah, Sammy. He's a good little dog. 4 years old, so.
And yet they would go to an Oilers game at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night. So it's all about wanting to be there. To me, it's not about, it's not about when the start times are. It's about give us a reason to go. It's not the name, it's not the time, but that's my thinking. But anyways, it's always fun chatting with you, Kevin. Keep it up. Apparently you got some listeners up there, so keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, Normie. Always good to talk to you, you old cone snail.
There you go. My longest time friend in this business, the great Kevin Karius. We'll be right back with Overtime after this. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, everybody, it's Overtime. It's brought to you by our great close friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. And we always talk about you Calgary people and Southern Albertans getting in there to Overtime Hockey Lanes to check it out. But why not? It's summer, and you know that Calgary's a destination, probably one of the top tourist destinations in the country. So check out Overtime Hockey Lanes when you got a free morning, a free afternoon, a free day, evening, whatever. They got a licensed bar and restaurant there. It's at 28th Street Northeast, just a snapshot away from the old Crossroads Flea Market, as I like to say. Golf has a driving range. Baseball has batting cages. I'm listening to them right now. Why wouldn't hockey have shooting lanes? Go check them out. Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. We really cracked the lid on something, and I don't like when breaking news happens while I'm on the air. It's happened a lot in my life. It happens. But one is this silly little thing that the Florida Panthers are switching their cable carriers, and my phone blew up from my friends going, what's going on? Are we not going to get the games? And we kind of morphed that around to cord cutting and how do you watch your games? Do you pay for it? And Scott here in Moose Jaw writes in and says on the 902 line, people who want to watch but not pay are just babies. Life costs money. And then to the CFL thing, hey, Allie, see you later. She says, great show as always. To the CFL people, Kevin's saying the CFL's dying on the vine. And the diehards, like Jeff the Stamps fan, they just refuse to believe it. And I'm tired, so tired of the debate. I watch the games, and I don't want to get into it, and I don't talk about it. And we could talk about it all the time. Daniel in Vancouver writes in, he says, it is on life support. Jeff the Stamps fan says, if the CFL's dying on the vine, it's a hell of a hardy grape. And Daniel says, here in BC, it's doing great. I don't want to. I'm tired of it. Watch the games or don't. Camper, and I'm not sure where he's at. He writes in, he says, the Edmonton fan base doesn't like losing. When the orders were crap, jerseys were thrown on the ice. Elks, Eskimos losing, no fans. Okay, it's funny you say that because Saturday night, I went up to go watch the pro basketball game in SaskTel Center. Had a great time. It was their biggest crowd of the season. It's only getting bigger. And by the way, the Rattlers have signed the reigning league MVP, Teddy Allen. It's a story that I won't get into here. Why is the league MVP a free agent on the street? Don't ask questions. But he's there. And Friday night, they're home to the Scarborough Shooting Stars. But I went to Wendell Clark's, and I was talking to the staff there. And we were talking about the sports teams in that city, where, by the way, our viewership has spiked in Saskatoon. I'm not really sure why, but it has. So thank you, Saskatoon. But one of the owners, I won't say which one, of Wendell Clark Sports Bar in Saskatoon goes, Saskatoon's a tough town. They won't come out unless you're winning. I'm like, boys, that's every town. That's every town. Now, in Canada, the NHL is different, and in America, the NFL is different. In South Florida, where I live, the Dolphins sell out every game, and they haven't won a Super Bowl since 1972. That's their team that they sell out every game. In Canada, it's your Leafs. It's your Jets. We won't go into that, but you know what I mean. It's your Flames. It's your Oilers. It's your Canucks. They'll go no matter what. But those other teams, those other leagues, they're going to be on your ass if you're not winning or not going. It's not just a Saskatoon thing. It's every city. Have you been to a Pats game lately? What do you, oh, yeah, thank you, Camper. I thought you were in Winnipeg, but I can't keep it all straight. Camper is in Winnipeg. You know, Bomber fans, how were they? Hey, Milt Stiegel was on here on Friday, and that was a great chat. And by the way, we're going to have more of the CFL on TSN people coming up as the weeks go along, because they like coming on to talk about the league, and they know that we're one of the few entities left that talk about it. That's just a fact. But Milt said, 90s, Winnipeg, looking up in the stands, he's like, you could count the people in the stands. And I know the young people would have a tough time believing that. It's kind of what the Riders became, and maybe are going back to, I don't know. But it was bad, it got good, and then when it's good, you forget what it was like when it was bad. But us older people don't forget. Wayne in BC says, that's a very good interview. I enjoyed Kevin Karius' take on all sports. He's all right. Jeff the Stamps fan says, I'm tired of the debate, too. I mean, Allie writes in, she says, Bally Sports Southwest just tweeted the star schedule, so it looks like I'll be okay, hopefully. Just got to keep paying my direct bill. I mean, I don't understand it, but I don't care. That's part of my problem with going back and forth between the two countries. Like, my friends are going nuts because the news release said it's going to be free television in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and that's about it. So my friends that live in other areas, of which I'm one, Boca Raton, Brenton, Wellington, there's all these other communities, Coral Springs, Delray Beach. We're all packed in a little tight 40-mile radius, but we're like, do we not get the games? So, because they just said Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. What about these other communities? So I put that on Twitter, and some guy writes me back. He goes, I can't tell if you're joking or not. I'm taking that to mean that we'll get the games just fine. Why did I get all worked about it? It's July. Well, and by the way, you know, Daniel here in Vancouver, I appreciate what you've brought today, Daniel. He says there's always a badly supported team in the CFL. Seen an Arizona Coyotes game lately? Not everybody's selling out, and I know they moved to Utah for that reason. But there are teams that suck in attendance in almost every league. But for whatever reason, you know, it was Florida for years in the NHL, and nobody talks about that anymore, but yet the fans are still scarred by it in Florida. Trust me, I hear from them. Anyways, you're right, Wayne in Victoria, BC. We did cover a lot of ground today, and it was a heck of a lot of fun, and I appreciate everybody for chiming in. As if you've noticed, the closer we get to the weekend, the more CFL we talk. But I think we put a pretty good wrapper on week 4 here today. We'll start to look ahead more to week 5 as the week goes along. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern, right here.
How about that?
Who has more fun than us?